Hello, I'm Lorraine Jekyls, and welcome to the Free Insights podcast, where we explore the intersection between all things brand, marketing, and insurance. In this first series, we'll be taking a deep dive into the insurance sector's talent crisis. I hope you enjoy this episode. Hello and welcome to another episode of Free Insights. Today I'm very excited to be joined by one of the most hardworking, well-connected people in insurance. My guest today has been a broker, an underwriter, is a lover of Broadway, a world traveller, and is a fellow Sex and the City fan. I'm delighted to welcome Cate Furman, Managing Partner of Hanover Search. Cate is also something of what used to be a rare breed, someone who actively chose a career in insurance. So welcome, Cate. Thank you so much for joining our podcast today to discuss this critical issue of the talent shortage in the insurance industry. Why don't you start by telling us a little bit about yourself and your journey into insurance?
Thank you, Lorraine. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me and for allowing me to talk about a subject that I'm quite passionate about. I'm sure you will see that come across today. But first of all, you're hearing an accent. As you know, I'm French. I was born and raised in Paris. I thought I lost my accent, but my English friends, colleagues, they keep saying that that's not happening anytime soon. But I originally studied insurance. As you said, I chose that industry. So I chose to study it. Not really because my mom was in insurance, although she was, but she was more on the life side of the business. I was more interested in the company side of the business, so the P&C as we know it today. So about 5 years, had my master's in languages specifically, so Spanish and English. My English definitely got better, although I still think it's a little bit broken, but very specifically applied to insurance. So every year we would learn a different topic, whether it was marine insurance, aviation insurance, business interruption, reinsurance. But in particular, I had a teacher at the time who was a marine underwriter at AXA, and he was the most passionate teacher we could have. He was working there during the week, coming to teach us on the Saturday. That instilled some passion in me. So I decided to pursue in a career, specifically in marine insurance. And I never wanted to work in France. So I moved out of Paris and went to London, which was an easy train away. Thought, first of all, I would start on the broking side. And I was lucky enough through that teacher actually to first do an internship with Benfield Corporate Solution at the time before they became Aon. They've also sent me to Chile, where I could improve my Spanish, and to New York. And that's when I fell in love with New York, and I always thought, one day I'll go back. But for my parents, it was easier if I was going a little bit closer first, and that was London. So I kept going farther and farther away. But as soon as I arrived in London, especially with those internships that I had done during my studies, I found a job very quickly with CV Star. So large corporate traditional carrier. I was able to spend about 4 years with them, specifically as a marine cargo underwriting graduate, and then learning through the process with them. So cargo, liability. But I always said to my firm at this time, I will want to be in New York eventually. So 4 years later, the clock was ticking. I wanted to go to New York. As we discussed a little bit, the Sex and the City piece. I grew up with those TV series, the Gossip Girl, the Mad Men, the Law and Order. I mean, Carrie Bradshaw, what an icon. Wall Street, American Psycho, all these movies that just fueled me with a love for New York. Less so a love for the job, I would say. It was truly a location. For me, I would be here and I would wash the dishes if I had to. New York was my dream. So when I asked my company to move me and they said no, I went to New York anyway. So left everything behind, showed up with absolutely nothing, knocked at every door. And that's when my company, Hanover, who was supposed to help me find a job in insurance, basically hijacked me into this and said, well, you speak a few languages, you know the industry. Do you want to help us build an insurance and reinsurance practice? So that's when I said, are you sponsoring my visa? They said yes. So here I am. It's been about 12 years now. And it's been fantastic to not only build that practice from the ground up, but also then build a team around me, expand in areas that I'm not a professional in. I know quite a lot today, but definitely not enough. So I like to surround myself with people who bring their own expertise. So it's been about 12 years now. I've been in New York well, I just came back about 6 months ago. I first moved to New York for 4 years, then to LA for about 7 years, and I just relocated this summer for the simple reason that to do what I do, New York is just like London, the capital of the industry. So many of my clients from London are visiting New York much more than they would do LA, for example. So I definitely feel like I'm in the place where I'm supposed to be in.
That's wonderful. And what an incredible journey of just, having that drive and that passion and that determination to get where you wanted to go. And I love that insurance was the vehicle that allowed you to progress through to fulfill your life's ambition of where you wanted to live. I mean, thinking about that drive and that determination and the opportunities that insurance offer, do you think that that's still existing with the incoming talent market? Are you seeing what sort of challenges are your clients seeing in both the executive search and at a graduate level?
Well, I had a university that did offer that option to specialize in insurance, but at the time it was both insurance or banking. I felt insurance just had more diversity in terms of product lines and areas that I could learn. When I felt banking was perhaps just one-sided. So those opportunities still exist, but perhaps students don't know enough about it. And I felt I perhaps fell into it more than actually chose it in the first place, because what I chose was languages. But I feel perhaps the fact that it's not talked about enough, or that students don't know they have those options, or parents don't know they have those options to at least mention to their children about. So it exists. It's perhaps having the wrong perception of what insurance is. That's always been an issue. I'm sure it's the same thing for you. When you say you work in insurance, people think you sell car insurance, and they ask you if you can help them with their house insurance. Insurance is such a big world, and people just don't know about it. So that's a big part of the crisis for me.
So thinking about that in terms of the role that you do at an executive search level, what are you seeing is the impact to your clients on with the insurance talent crisis?
Well, the biggest challenge is the fact that we are still looking at the same pool of talent, and any client that I work with, they keep looking at the same talent, but their competitors are also looking at that same pool of talent as well. So I kind of feel there's a growing need, or at least a growing need into looking for those individuals, especially the leaders who would be at the level where they need to be at, but also tech savvy enough to be able to navigate the technology that we are evolving in today. So it's a narrowing pool of people, not enough individuals that can fit those requirements, but more and more companies who are looking for those talents.
What sort of advice do you give to your clients in order to help them differentiate or win that war for talent?
The biggest advice that I always give is really to play with the human aspect. I mean, I can see it with my own clients. I'm now in a position where 12 years later, it wasn't the case. Back in the day, I had to work with whoever wanted to work with us, and we made it work. Today, I'm in a position to work with the people who I can see have a passion for the business. I can work with people that I can call friends today. And the ones that I choose to work with, to me, are the ones who are finding ways to differentiate themselves, whether that's by using a technology that nobody else has, or by having a business plan or a strategy in the industry that is very unique compared to their competitors. But it really starts with the people as well. Do you have the people who have a passion for the business, who can attract talent? Very often with my clients in general, I do say, or at least advise, the first person that's going to be running an interview with any of your talent has to be able to instill the passion in those individuals. If I'm a candidate and I go for an interview and the first person is just falling flat,
Yeah.
why would I join a company if I feel your people are not even passionate about what you do in your own firm?
No, that's really part of the brand in action, as we would think of it. If exactly as you say, if your people aren't passionate about your business, why should anybody else be? And how do you see that brand positioning coming to life? Are there any businesses, I know you can't name them, but are there any examples of or great examples of businesses who are using their brand to position themselves differently or in really meaningful ways?
Yeah, absolutely. And I can think of a reinsurance broker, a broker, MGAs. I feel it's easier for those firms that are newer to position themselves with a fresh brand approach rather than for the very traditional, long-standing companies, all those carriers that have been around for 50 or 100 years. Definitely easier for the newer firm to come in and say, we're going to have new system, we're going to build a technology that nobody has. But they're already coming in with, we know who we are, we know what we're going to do differently to the top firms, whether that's a broker or an underwriter. We're not trying to replicate what they're doing, but they come in with a story, a compelling story. And these are the ones that I already see going much faster than the traditional ones, who can only move slow because they have so many people to handle, and the change for them is going to be definitely much more challenging than it can be for a startup or for a company that can be much more agile because they are smaller.
That's really interesting. And do you think that there's anything that the bigger, more traditional, longer in the tooth firms, more established firms could do to reposition themselves?
They can, but they have to want to change it. And if they feel we only have the same kind of people with the same kind of ideas who can't disrupt the status quo and the way we think, my advice to this company is hire the people who think completely differently from you. Hire external consultants, companies like yours, like mine, to be able to advise to them what it is that they should do differently. A lot of what I do in my current role is acting as a consultant to those firms. I spend as much time as I can with my client, whether that's a face-to-face, a virtual. I insist on visiting their office. I'm very transparent. So I will say, hey, this is what I think works extremely well, but these are the areas that you have to work on at least, or these are the few points that I believe could change the dynamic of your company if you were willing to listen. And it's never about just saying what doesn't work and you deal with it. It's, hey, if you are willing to see a change in the company, there are people who can assist you with that. But it starts with, are you willing to listen? And will you take those advice into consideration? So for the large firms, if they are too traditional, and very often it's because they also have people who have been in the firm for 20, 30 years, they can't see change because they just haven't known it in their own firm.
That's really interesting, that not just taking the advice, but changing your approach to recruitment is one of the things, and the types of people you're recruiting in, the way that you're broadening the search criteria effectively. What sort of things do you guys do at Hanover that changes things, rather than, yes, there's the traditional interview. Is there anything else that you do differently or would advise your clients to do differently?
Well, as you know, a big topic for the past few years has been diversity and inclusion. We're trying to really change the dynamic when it comes to, we look at leadership and do we only see one kind of person? let's bring individuals who are coming from a different background than yours. Let's bring individuals who will definitely think differently. So we, as part of our search process, and especially me as a female headhunter, I'm extremely passionate about bringing women to the top position, or at least to give them a fair chance to be considered for that role. So what we tend to do when we have a search for a senior level position, I want at least half of my shortlist to be female. I want ideally that number to also include people from different backgrounds and different ethnicities. So by encouraging our client to truly consider something different, slowly we're moving the needle in that direction. It's going to take some time, and it does feel a bit forced in the beginning, but in 10 years, 20 years, I really hope that the face of the industry will be very different.
Well, I think it already is when I started 25 years ago, it completely has changed, and that can only get better, right?
It takes a few people who will be brave enough to say, yes, I may be the only one in the room who looks like that or speaks like that or whatever that is, but then hopefully that number will keep changing and changing.
Yeah, brilliant. And what about at the other end of the spectrum, thinking about, graduates who are entering the market? Are you seeing your clients do anything, different, or trying different approaches to appeal to a wider audience?
Not enough. I see some companies who are starting to be more active, perhaps, or more proactive when it comes to, we're going to visit universities, we're going to have a stand and talk about what we do. But I don't feel those companies are making enough efforts. And very often, a company like mine would not be needed for the clients who need young graduates. They think that by posting something on their website that nobody knows about, if they don't know about insurance, is going to attract talent. So I definitely think companies need to do more when it comes to advertising, whether it's LinkedIn or even using social media that today the younger generation is using, by talking about what they do in a much more interactive way. I feel most companies are underestimating the fact that their website is still something that people can go on, and on the first look, you can tell whether that's a company that is tech forward or not. So investing into their own media and their own communication, but also by being more vocal, offering internships. That's something I definitely don't see enough. Companies don't want to pay for interns, but then they complain, how come we don't have younger generations coming? So you don't need to break the bank to attract interns, but pay your talent. If I'm a young graduate and I'm the one who need the most money, so why would I go and work for free anywhere that doesn't want to recognize that? So I wished companies were more open to hire at least interns. Not necessarily young graduates. Remember back in the day in insurance, so many of us didn't come from a university background. It was straight out of high school. I think the industry should go back to being more open to that.
Yeah, I love that. And do you, I know you're really passionate about this. Is there anything that you do personally or would do differently personally?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, with one of my former teachers who opened up and then literally changed my life, he got me that internship with Benfield, who, by the way, was for last year students, so the fifth year at the masters. Those students didn't want it. I was still on my fourth year, and I said, nobody wants to go to London, I'll go. So the fact that he opened that up for me, and it's thanks to him that then during my fifth year, I went both to Chile and to New York when nobody who was 21, 22 was doing. I'm extremely grateful to him. I'm trying to do the same thing today. I already went back to him because he's still working, still in France, still teaching to the same students, or at least to the same people with that particular specialization. So I've already reached out to him several times to say, how can I give back? If you have some of your students who want to be, whether that's in France, whether that's anywhere in the world, I work with an organization that you are very familiar with, Lorraine, that has offices in 100 different countries. I reached out specifically to some of the CEOs, or when I see them at conferences, I do say, would you be willing to hire interns? And many of them have said yes already. So my goal is to see how can I give back to my previous community in France, or at least my university community. I do offer the same thing to people that I work with in America and say, if you have children, neighbors, anybody who may be interested in doing something with their lives, they should consider insurance. So I'm trying to be vocal about it, but like for anything, it does mean taking a bit of a risk. Are you willing to come out of your comfort zone? Are you willing to go to a different country? I know that I got that drive very early, very, very young in my life. So I do also spend a lot of time with some of the children of my clients and my clients do ask me, hey, Cate, can I put you in touch with my child? I know that it's not something, the level that you would work on, but they could benefit from your experience. So I try to speak to them with the same passion and how can I bring you into the insurance and show the fun side of it. That's a big part that is missing today is insurance. No, it's not insurance. It's, are you kidding? This is such a crazy, fantastic world where you can learn so much about cargo insurance, which used to be my background, where you can learn about planes. How do they build a plane? And then how is it transported from one place to another? And diamond factories and going to South Africa to see about how the diamond is extracted. Or there's such a big amount, or at least a very large amount of industries you can learn about, but nobody would think of when they think insurance.
Yeah, it's really a place that whatever you're interested in, you can do insurance and that. That's
movies, oh, I love movies and I love producing. Well, you could literally insure movie sets or be a broker for those producers and TV stars and sports legends because they need insurance too.
Yeah, exactly. It's wonderful. I think that's the main point of our report. It's young people are looking for purpose. They're looking for places to grow a career. They're looking for places which will be culturally and personally fulfilling and a lot of fun. And just through this conversation, it's so clear. I mean, I know it, but I'm sure anyone listening who never knew anything about insurance would be thinking, wow, what an amazing place. If there was one action that you could advise insurance leaders to take in order to address this talent shortage, what would it be?
There would be two type of advice I would give. So first of all, take a risk on your own company, take a risk yourself, try to invest in products that may interest the newer generation, and especially the generation that wants to see a change in the world. We talk a lot about renewable energy nowadays rather than traditional energy, or for example, insuring cannabis, which nobody thought about 10 years ago. And now it's a new product that many new companies or even traditional companies are doing. Cyber risk, which 15 years ago didn't exist, and now it's such a large line of business. So perhaps trying to invest into what else needs insurance when we look at those emerging risks. And especially align your values with what the younger generation may want to see in insurance. I think that's important. But the biggest advice I can also say is no matter which level you are at, spend time with the younger talent. I take a lot of pride myself in spending as much time as I can with our younger associates or younger people in the industry too, in terms of I want to get to know you. I want to make you care about this industry. I want to know what's important to you. A big part of retention is you get the loyalty of people. If people don't know you enough, why would they be loyal to you or to your company? So we tend to underestimate, and especially leaders and CEOs, or why would I spend time with my younger talents? The CEOs who make a difference are the ones who say, let's have some lunch and learns. Let's have some forums for the younger generation. I'll give you a voice. Tell me how you feel about it. What would you like to see differently? Or, hey, we are generations apart. what do you think we should be doing differently? Whether that's a possibility or not, that's irrelevant, but at least it's giving a voice to the younger generation and implementing what they would like to see. But spending time with your younger talent, if I'm a younger talent and I see that my boss or my boss's boss cares about me, why would I go anywhere else? So investing in their own time with the talent that perhaps years ago we would think, oh, they're just junior talent. No, they're the future of the industry. That's how you keep them.
I love that. That's incredible insight and really good advice. Cate, thank you so much. I know how busy you are. I really, really appreciate your time. It's always a pleasure talking to you, and
Likewise.
I'm really delighted we were able to get together for this podcast. So thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you so much, Lorraine. Lovely to see you.